let's get right to it. We have a beautiful, beautiful class today. I don't know if you received the, I posted in the chat the link to the website if you wanted to get the page, the PDF to the phrase, the verse that we're doing today. So just to, I'm going to just mute everybody real quick. Let me see how to do that because I'm just hearing some noise in the background. Yikes, Ashley, I think I need your help. How do I mute?
I think it's on the bottom left corner.
That's just to mute myself, not everyone.
But I think you click the little arrow next to it, and then you select, like, to mute everyone. I'm not the host, so I can't see.
Yeah, it's not giving me that option.
Well, you know what? We should all mute ourselves.
Yeah, how about let's do that, and then if somebody has something to say, they can unmute themselves, or, just pick up your hand and, well, okay, but that's much better, because there's some fuzziness in the background, so it gets a little difficult. So I hope that you were able to get the PDF today so that you can follow along. I can share the screen again like I did last time if you want me to. Although I do prefer to see your faces when I'm talking to you than to look at the screen with the words and feel like I'm just talking to a computer screen. But we can do that. If you don't have it, I can definitely put it on at least for the beginning so we can all share it, and I can do up and down like we did last time because, like I said, I like to talk to people. But just as a quick, kind of refresher, what we're doing now is Ethics of the Fathers. It is a part of the oral Torah. And just real quick, the written Torah is made up of the Tanakh, right? That's spelled Taf, Nun, Chaf, which stands for Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. There's somebody that's not muted, and it's just a little bit.
I think it's me, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, you know what? I can mute you. Okay, I muted you, but you know what? It wasn't you. Okay. Charlotte, you didn't have to take your face away. Just the sound. I want to see you. So there's the written Torah that is comprised of. I'll mute you, Charlotte. Okay. Charlotte, get your video on. I'll mute you so you don't have to worry. Okay, Hi. There we go. Perfect. Now just stay put. And then there was the oral Torah that was given at the same time as when we got the written Torah, but it was meant to be oral. It was passed down from generation to generation. With the time, it was getting forgotten. And so they needed to write it down. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I'm looking at you, Elaine, and I know you asked me a question about Mishle and how it's similar. Mishle is from the written Torah. It is actually part of Ketuvim. It was written by King Solomon way before the Ethics of the Fathers. This was the Talmudic age, which was 2,000 years ago. King Solomon was in the days of, he built the temple, so it was earlier than that. So it's a different era, and of course, the most important difference between the two books is that one is part of the written Torah. This is the oral Torah. And that's what we're focusing on right now in the weeks between Pesach and Shavuos. We study the Ethics of the Fathers because we are preparing to receive the Torah on Shavuos, and we want to prepare and get ourselves ready that we are in the right frame of mind and that we're in the right place and that we know that we are prepared properly to receive the Torah. And so we are getting ourselves ready. So today we are actually focusing on such a beautiful part that I really, really feel like within this, and I keep on not knowing how to say it in English, but we're just going to call it the Mishna of today. That within the Mishna that we are doing today, I feel like it encompasses truly our entire lives. It really is guidance as to how to live our lives in so many different areas. So let's jump into it. Let's get started. I think it's going to be fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to put the, I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see it. And then I will unshare it so that I can see you. So I want you to see the Mishnah. Let me get it for you. No, I'm on the wrong thing. Whoops, wait. Now you can see me maneuvering. What I don't, okay, let me move this. There we go. Okay. Okay, this is not actually what I wanted. Hang on. You can actually do this yourself. I'm literally on jewishgardens.com and it has, here we go. I believe that it's this. Wait, no, is this it? I think this is it. Okay, yeah. You can do this yourself if you go onto the website. You can find this page. It's right there. It actually gives you the entire Mishnah, the entire chapter of this week. You can say, so it's beautiful. Let me see. Marlene, you're right in front of me. So can you be so kind as to read this to us in English?
Ben Soma would say, who is wise? One who learns from every person. As it is stated, Psalms 119 through 99, from all my teachers I have grown wise. For your testimonials are my meditation.
You can keep going till the end, yeah.
Who is strong? The person who conquers their own inclinations. As it is stated, Proverbs 16:32, better one who is slow to anger than one with might, one who rules their spirit than the conqueror of a city. Who is rich? The person who is satisfied with their lot. As it is stated, if you eat of toil of your hands, fortunate are you, and good is to you. Fortunate are you in this world, and good is to you in the world to come. Who is honored? The person who honors their fellow creatures. As it is stated, I, Samuel, for to those who honor me, I accord honor. Those who scorn me will be demeaned.
Okay, thank you, Marlene.
Thank you.
That was great reading. So a lot of these are pretty common. I'm sure you've heard of them. This isn't like something brand new you never heard of before, and you're like, oh wow, this is news to me. So we are actually going to unpack this, and I hope that by the end of this class, you are going to see these words and treat them completely differently than you ever thought about them before. So now let's just break this up. Before we go deep into it, let's just break this up for a minute. What's so interesting about this passage over here is that precisely what we would think to be what these items are, we are being told is exactly the opposite. So, for example, what would you think is a wise person? Somebody who knows more than others, someone who's very educated, that's a wise person. What is Ben Zoma telling us? No, that's not what makes a wise person. A wise person is somebody who learns even from someone who knows nothing, or that he thinks knows nothing, even from someone who knows much, much less than him, which seems counterintuitive. Who is strong? What would you think? Our perception would be, what is strength? Someone who goes to the gym, somebody who's strong, who lifts weights every day. What does he say here? No, it has nothing to do with your brawn, with your might. It has to do with inner strength. That is true might. Somebody that can control their own impulses. Who is rich? I think if you would ask that on social media, if you would post that and you would say, what is a rich man? Who is a rich person, a rich woman? They would say, someone who is wealthy, someone who has lots of money, lots of possessions, lots of things. No, Torah says the opposite. Who is rich? Not at all somebody that has lots of things. It could be somebody that owns nothing. So long as they are happy with what they have, they are rich. And finally, who is honored? We would imagine that who is honored? Let's think about our society. Who gets honored? The ones who are rich and strong and wise, right? But no, what is Ben Zoma saying? What is the Torah telling us here? Honor has nothing to do with what you have or being more than somebody else or having more than somebody else. The Torah's idea of honor is we need to honor every single human being by the virtue of them being a creature of God. Just by the fact that they are a human being and they were created in the image of God gives them the right to be honored. So we literally took our common perception of each one of these things and realized that the Torah has a completely different view on every single one of them. And now we are going to unpack it piece by piece. I'm going to stop sharing, if you don't mind. And we can come back to it soon if you want. I just would much rather to look at all of your faces. It's just more enjoyable for me. Okay, so starting off with the first part of who is wise. Now, how do we say a wise person in Hebrew? Do you know? How do we say a wise person? What did you say, Alyssa?
Chacham.
We actually call him a Talmid Chacham, right? A Talmid Chacham, someone who is very well versed in Torah. Chacham is maybe the way the world says it, but what's the Jewish way? A knowledgeable Torah scholar is called what? A Talmid Chacham.
A student of learning.
That's right. That's right. A student of wisdom. Right? That's what a Talmid Chacham is. Somebody who recognizes that these two words cannot be separated. Talmid and Chacham. The minute I stop becoming a student, I am no longer acquiring knowledge. I am no longer learning. I can always be learning from someone or from something or from a situation or from something that happens to me. And some people think, oh, I know everything. I love the saying, I don't know if it's exactly said this way, but the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? That's truly what wisdom is, that you recognize that there is no end in learning. Learning never ends. The more you learn, the more you want to learn, the more you realize there is to learn, and the more you realize you don't know, right? Because there is such a vast ocean of knowledge out there, and we can never truly stop learning. So, okay, so that makes sense that we're always learning from people and there's always something to learn. But what about a truly bad person? Somebody that's, a no good Nick. What do you think? Somebody who's morally, intellectually, just a bad guy.
You said we have to lilmod, to learn from everybody.
That's
even
right.
From now good Nick.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Tiki. And that's exactly the truth. That there are, and we're going to just go through a couple of different opinions on this. So number one, what we can learn from a bad person, just on a very simple level, is how not to behave, right? You could just be an example for people, of what not to do. So that's number one. You can definitely learn from a bad person how not to behave. They could just be I'm trying to think what it's called when you have like that whatever, escape me. Another interesting thing, the Baal Shem Tov says that a person is your mirror image. That if you have a clean face, you will see a clean face. If you have some blemishes on your face, you will notice that in another person. So, yes, maybe if you're noticing something that's not so good about somebody, it might be a little sign to you that...
But that comes up experience in life. 60 years old, you learn it.
Right? Right? You learn that, you know what? If it's bothering me, it's probably because a fault of my own, something that's not so perfect within me that I'm noticing. But then there's this other concept of taking that bad character trait, that bad behavior, and using that, turning it to the positive. So, for example, something that I know a lot of people deal with is envy, right? It's not a good character trait. It's not good to be envious. It's not good to be jealous. However, if you use that in spiritual senses, then it's very good. Say, I wish I could study more. I wish I could do more. I wish I could add another mitzvah to my life. I'm so envious that this person is able to incorporate that in their lives. I wish I can do that too. Now you're using that trait for something positive, right? It actually says that if not for, and I'm paraphrasing, that if not for envy, then there actually wouldn't be so much Torah study, because there needs to be that envy of the other. Oh, I wish I knew so much. I wish I had that knowledge. And that's why there is so much Torah study, because of that envy. And then there's another level of literally learning from a bad trait. It actually says it in the Hayom Yom. Hayom Yom is a beautiful little book that the Rebbe wrote on little sayings, little snippets for every day. It's a little thought of the day. And one of the days, actually the 3rd of Iyar, which is coming up soon. Actually, no, just passed. Just passed. The Rebbe speaks about, he tells the story of Reb Zusha, who says he learned 7 things from a thief. Can you imagine? From a thief. I saw Susan had to come in. She was sure she didn't hear right.
How to protect myself.
Well,
So
he learned. Well, you're good, Tiki. He learned 7 things from a thief. Number 1, what he does, he keeps to himself. It's not like big public knowledge, not, shouting from the rooftops. He is willing to take risks to attain his goal. He is incredibly careful with every single detail. Very detail-oriented. There's no big or small, and this is not important. Everything is important. He invests great effort in what he does. He is swift. He is always optimistic. And if he fails the first time, he keeps on coming back, right? He keeps on coming back. And how incredible is that? That he's looking at a thief, a bad guy, and he's doing bad stuff, right? But he's saying, you know what? Let me look at this character, this set, and his set of the way he thinks and the way he's going about his business, that maybe there's something that I can learn from this. So truly, we can learn from every single person. And finally, and I think this is the most importantly, is to recognize that every single person is inherently good. Every single person is inherently good. And I think this way a lot about children. I always think children are born pure. They're born perfect. They only want to love and please and do the right thing. And sometimes they just don't know, they don't have the right tools to express that and to show it. And you know what? Modern psychology is showing that adults are really just a product of their childhood. And they're just a product. They're really just grown-up children, right? And I think that if we had this mindset when we came across people and thought to ourselves, this person is a good person. They have a soul. They mean well. They just had a bad childhood. They had a bad day. Things just didn't go right for them. They don't know how to express themselves. They're just, I think that if we came this way, when we related to people this way, we would have, instead of judgment, we would have so much compassion and so much understanding. And it would help us to learn from them and help us realize that, you know what, there might be all these bad traits about them, but there's definitely something good about them. There's definitely something that I can find, that I can learn from. Not just good, not just something about them that's good, something that I can learn from, something that I can use to better my life. There's this really enigmatic story in the Talmud. Again, the best stories in the Talmud, just like no other stories, right? You can't make this stuff up. There was a sage, his name was Rebbetzin, and he's on his horse and he's heading to a certain city, and he bumps into this man, and the man says hello, and Rebbetzin looks at him and he says, "Empty one, how ugly are you? Are all the people in your town as ugly as you are?" And this guy was a little bit taken aback by this. And he says, "I don't know, but why don't you go and ask the craftsman, the one who made me, and ask him, how ugly is the vessel that you made?" And right away, of course, Rebbetzin realizes a mistake, because of course he's talking about God, and he says, "This is how God made me." And Rebbetzin is like, "Oh," and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I said that. I shouldn't have said that." And he says, "I will not forgive you until you go to the craftsman and ask him why he made me this way." They carry on. They come to the town. And as they come into the town, all the people from the town come, and there's this big Talmud Chacham, right? A big sage that's coming, and they come to greet him, and they're bowing down. And this man says, "Who are you giving this respect to?" And they say, to the sage. And he says, "This is who you're calling a sage, somebody who behaved this way? If so, may there be no more like him in Israel." And the people were like, shocked at this, why he's talking this way, why are you saying this? And he repeats what happened. He repeats that, what he said to me. And the people of the town say, okay, he may have spoken not nicely, but you should forgive him. And so this guy says, "Okay, for your sake, I will forgive him, but only on the condition that he never behaves this way again." And immediately Rebbetzin goes into the study hall, and he starts teaching about how not to be so hard on people. Now, of course, we know that Rebbe Elazar wasn't just telling this guy that he's ugly because he was ugly, right? We all know that. We all know that there was a deeper meaning to this. And really what Rebbe Elazar meant when he said, empty one. That's how he started off. He said, empty one, you're so ugly. He wasn't talking about his physical appearance. He was talking about his soul. His soul was empty and it was so ugly. And in truth, it could very well be that just by the fact of this interaction that this guy actually changed his life because of what this Rebbe Elazar said. We don't know. But nevertheless, Rebbe Elazar apologized. Nevertheless, he still begged him for forgiveness. Why? Why did he beg him for forgiveness? Even though he was right, even though he was ugly and he was empty. Why did he apologize? Because what did the man say? Go and speak to my craftsman. Rebbe Elazar realized, even though he's ugly, I forgot a really, really important element. And that element is that this person is a piece of God. He was created in God's image. And for that alone, I should respect him. I should value him. And of course, that means that I have something to learn from him as well. And as we see, he actually did teach him something. He taught him something. And from then, Rebbe Elazar was very, very careful about the way he judged somebody. So sometimes we see it looks like a very, very empty vessel. But we have to remember that who they are a vessel created by the craftsman himself. And as long as we remember that, then we recognize that we can learn from everybody. And just going back to our original words there, I'm not going to put it back on the screen, but I'm just going to repeat it to you. King David says in Psalms, from all my teachers I have grown wise, for your testimonials are my meditation. All my teachers. And this is a really, really important lesson, that we need many teachers, not one teacher, because one teacher can create tunnel vision. You know, it's like the reason why we have two eyes is so that we can see three-dimensional, right? But if we only had one eye, that would create very tunnel vision. And the same thing is here. We need lots of teachers to really broaden our minds and give us all the different views and all the different outlooks, even if they conflict with each other. Very often we'll learn from different teachers, and we'll see in the Talmud or in the Torah, there are different opinions on different things that happen, and they conflict with each other. Doesn't matter, because each one is coming to teach us something else in our lives. And that's the whole point, is to be able to see what we can learn from everyone. So now we're going to move on to who is strong, and I'll share my screen so we could look at it together, just to remind you. Who is strong? The person who conquers their own inclinations. As is stated, better one who is slow to anger than one with might, one who rules their spirit than the conqueror of a city. Anybody find something interesting about this comparison? Let's think about the conqueror of a city.
Okay, I'll say something.
Yes, Stephanie.
Well, I was just thinking tonight, I really have to learn to be stronger with my sugar addiction now that I'm home. And it's going to take a lot of strength for me to not eat as many sweets as I'm eating, because after I eat one, I'm just dying to have another. It's just like any addiction, I think. I think it's like a smoker's addiction. or like a drug addiction. I must have, I'll take a piece of toast and put butter and sugar and cinnamon on it just because I need it. However, if I didn't have any, I would have had a fine day. And I said to myself just tonight, I've got to be stronger and do that.
I could relate to that because I started today my 4 weeks of no sugar, no flour, and a couple other things. But yes, and I'm going to use that example in a second. It's interesting how the wording here, and I took it off the screen, so I'm just going to look at it here just to remind you. Who is strong? The person who conquers their inclinations. Better one who is slow to anger than one with might, one who rules their spirit than the conqueror of a city. Now, what is the conqueror of a city? What is the sign of a true mighty warrior when he goes to conquer a city? The fact that the city can still stand after it's conquered. You know, it's no big deal to just burn the city down to the ground and, oh, now I conquered it. I owned it. We could bomb the daylights out of it and I conquered it. But it's much greater to be able to conquer the city, still have the citizens, still have the structure, still have the walls up. And this is such a deep concept that, yes, while we're trying to conquer our inclinations, we're not looking to burn them. We're not looking to obliterate them. We're not looking to lose who we are. And I love that example, Stephanie, because when it comes to, for example, our sugar cravings, I think that a big reason why a lot of us have a hard time getting over that is because it's kind of like the end to life the way we know it. It's like, I'm becoming a whole new person. I'm completely changing. I'm going to change all my habits. I'm never having my toast with cinnamon and, again. And that's very overwhelming. And it's too hard for us to do, honestly. But it's really about saying, what is it about that I really enjoyed? Is it that the time that I got to sit down quietly by myself and that's why I enjoyed it, and maybe I can recreate that in another situation? Maybe I can use a substitute that will still give me that same feeling. And it's really about, our character traits are not bad. They just need redirection. So it's really not about getting rid of them. It's not about bombing them out. It's really about taking what we have and giving them purpose, giving them, an avenue where to go. And I can tell you that for me personally, I've been enjoying so much these days creating healthy recipes for my family. And I've been so incredibly amazed at how much they're enjoying them. And my kids love to sit and munch on baby cucumbers at the pool. And who would have even believed, they're asking me for apples and almond butter, or smoothies for a snack. And it's really about using that energy. And because for me, for example, I really enjoy spending the time in the kitchen for my family. And I'm like, I don't want to lose out on that. So I've been trying to redirect that passion, that pleasure. I always say my art is in the kitchen. That's where I get creative. That's where I enjoy playing with flavors and colors and setting them up pretty. I don't have to lose that. I just need to find how to redirect that passion in a way that is beneficial to me. And I think that thinking in this way is really the path to success. Yes, Susan.
It's interesting because there's something with nutrition that's balance in your body. If you're craving a lot of sugar, you're missing some other ingredient, maybe salt, which is the opposite. Sugar is very expansive, salt is very contracting. In the same way with our life, balance is so important. If you have balance, you have wisdom. If you have balance, you're making better decisions. So that is something that we should think about also.
Absolutely. And I think what we also need to remember is that our mind, our brain is our strongest, most fiercest organ in our body. What we set our mind to do, no one and nothing can stop it. Nothing can stop us in our tracks of what our mind decides. And so it's really about recognizing, what do I truly want? What is the best path for me? And as soon as we set our mind to that, nothing can deter us. Nothing can take us.
Sure. Your thoughts become things.
Absolutely. Yes.
And bring whatever you want into your life.
Yes. Martha, we can't hear you. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question. Why do you feel that you have to redirect your passion for creating in the kitchen?
Oh, because I was creating unhealthy things, with sugar and flour and that kind of thing. Okay. And I just wanted to redirect it to a more healthy, because it's fun. Okay. Now I'm spending all this time at home and it's fun to bake cookies and make all these nice things, but they're really not good for me or anybody else in my house. And so I'm learning to redirect that and still make beautiful things that are good for me and good for everyone. But absolutely, you don't have to redirect. If it's a passion that's taking you in the right direction, then no need to redirect it. And just as a little side note here, just because I felt like it, because you made me think of it, is that, very often I hear from people that, oh God, let me just mute. Because the sages came up with different rulings in the times of, in the Talmud, or even maybe a little bit later, there were sages that came up with rulings that were not necessarily written exactly in the Torah, but they come to help us understand some things, and they also help us keep the mitzvahs a little bit better. And I've often heard here, in more modern society, of rabbis that are, if the Talmud, if those rabbis can make changes or they can make rulings, then we can also make rulings, and we are deciding such and such, and this is the new rule. And I think that the best way to recognize whether it is a kosher ruling or a non-kosher ruling is judging by this ruler. Is this new ruling going to cause me to keep mitzvahs better, or is it going to cause me to be more lenient and drop some things off? If it's the former, if the purpose of this ruling is that it's going to help me and it's going to strengthen Judaism and my own Jewishness, then it's probably a good ruling. But then it's probably a kosher ruling. But if this ruling is actually going to ultimately lead a lot of the Jewish population astray, then it's probably not the best ruling. So I know that was a little bit vague there. I'm not sure if you caught what I'm saying, but it's one of my pet peeves, and I had to put it out there.
Can you give an example?
An example. Okay. We don't need a mechitza because it's going to bring much more people to shul if we just let everybody sit together.
I like the mechitza.
I do too. But that's an example, okay? Or Andy, you got something to say?
Yeah, if I may try on something that you said earlier that I liked and maybe less controversial about not destroying the city. So conquering a characteristic of yours is not necessarily destroying it, knocking it down completely, but just redirecting. One of the other things where we need to conquer our desire to do stuff is to talk. So you don't want to necessarily stop talking, but you need to rechannel that to talk less so you can learn more. and
listen more.
Listen. Well, you listen, you learn, you talk, you don't hear.
Right.
Just you chatting. So that to me was I liked when you said about not destroying the city, that conquering your what you need to conquer, let's say, involves redirecting rather than destroying.
I love that example because actually as a child, I remember telling my mother that I always would pray that I shouldn't talk so much. I talk too much and I wish I didn't talk so much. And she said to me, it's a funny thing because when I was little, I did the same thing. She said when she was little, she also used to pray that she wouldn't talk so much. She has a twin sister, and her twin sister is very introverted and very shy and has a hard time opening her mouth. And she always wished that she was more like her twin sister and that she didn't talk so much, until eventually she mentioned this to her father and told her father that she has this wish, that she wishes she didn't speak so much. And her father said to her that, no, it's a gift that you're able to speak. There are lots of people like her twin sister that wish they could speak, but they just don't have the courage to be, and they don't have that strength to be able to. He said, but you should use this gift to say good things, to say nice things, to teach people. So yes, that's a very, very good example. Use your gift.
Redirecting.
Absolutely. Make sure if you have the gift of gab that you're not gabbing about other people, that you're using it for good things and for Torah study and for inspiring people. Yes, Susan.
God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen twice as much as talk.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yes, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Okay, let's move on to Who is Rich. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. Okay. Susan Benson, want to read it? Oh, let me unmute you. Sorry. Oh, wait. It's not unmuting. I think you have to unmute yourself. Oh, wait.
I did.
There we go. Go.
But I'm muted by the host.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
You have to unmute me.
Yeah, you're on mute. You're on mute now.
Okay. Then Zoma would say, who is wise? One who learns from every person.
Here, no, just go to the who is rich part. Who is rich?
Okay. Who is rich? The person who is satisfied with their lot. As is stated, you eat of toil of your hands. Fortunate are you, and good is to you. Fortunate are you in this world, and good is to you in the world to come. I agree 100%. Should I continue?
Nope, that's it. So as opposed to physical wealth and money, I actually saw this really cute, this little, it was in Yiddish, this little video was going around yesterday, and it had this, it was from a sketch that they were doing, and this guy says, the man who has 6 children is much happier than the man who has $6 million. So his friend says, oh, really? Why is that? So he says, well, the man who has $6 million always wants more and more and more and more. It's never enough. The man who has 6 children, it kind of ends over there. He's happy with his lot. It was a joke. But the point is that the more you have, the more you want. That's how it goes. That's how it goes, right? And it says you have a certain amount, you want double. Once you got that, you want more. And it's just how it is in physical things. However, the person that is happy with his lot wins in both worlds. He has it in both worlds, as Susan read. Fortunate are you in this world, and good is to you in the world to come. Because fortunate to you in this world, because you have no stress, you have no pressure, you have no, list of things that you need, constantly adding. You're happy with what you have. And as a result of that, you're happy in the world to come as well, because you ended up spending so much time actually, on doing what was worthwhile, and actually gathering and studying and focusing on what was really important that you gained in the world to come as well. And an interesting little tidbit I thought I would share with you is that we often hear the concept of, being in the rat race, caught in the rat race. And interestingly, this actually comes from the Talmud, that the Talmud says, I'm actually going to quote it to you. Why are all the inhabitants of the world compared to rodents? As the rodent scurries about and hoards, not knowing for what purpose it hoards, so do all the inhabitants of the world scurry and hoard without knowing for what they are hoarding. How true is that? Right? How true is that? We're just gathering stuff. And we don't even know why. And this brilliant story is told of Alexander the Great, who arrives at the gates of Gan Eden. And he says, let me in. And they say, sorry, we can't let you in. And he says, well, I'm also a king. So give me something. And what do they give him? They give him a human eyeball. And he takes this human eyeball and he weighs it against all of his gold and silver. And still he cannot get it he can't get his gold and silver to weigh more. And no matter how much he puts on it, he cannot outweigh. Finally, he comes to the sages and he says, what's going on here? How is it possible that this eyeball weighs so much more than all of my gold and silver? And the sages say, because a human eye is never satisfied. The more it sees, the more it wants. The more it has, the more it wants. You can never fully satiate the human eye. And he says, really? That's interesting. So they said, yes. They took a little sand, they covered the eyeball, and sure enough, once it was covered with sand, that's when it was able to outweigh, symbolizing once we return to dust and we are 6 feet under, we no longer have these desires and we no longer care about objects and these things we realize are really not important.
So what do you want to say, Chana?
I'm saying that we have It's normal, but we have to recognize the gifts in our lives. And it's so easy to overlook them. It's so easy to focus on whatever isn't going right.
When a person wants to succeed, so he learns, he accomplishes things. So with this comes the wanting things.
Say it again. You get wanting things from what? I'm sorry. I was just reading the comment on the chat that I thought was cute, that if you have 6 children, you'll need $6 million. I don't know. I feel like I have six children. I have 8 children. I already have $8 million. I have much more than that.
I would say the opposite. Some people don't have enough, and they said, how can I bring kids to the world? I don't have enough.
You know what? Let me tell you, having children is the biggest proof that God takes care of you, because you know what? It's really about setting priorities straight. And you realize that, you know what? This is the real lesson in who is rich. It's the real lesson that maybe you don't need so many things. Maybe you're perfectly happy with, David is always saying, my parents like to lavish our kids. They bring, get them all sorts of gifts. And my in-laws bring some nice little treats from South Africa, some dried fruit, and you know what? They're just as happy. You could spend $5, you could spend $500 on a child, and it's the same thing for them. They don't care. All they want to know is that you thought about them. They want to know that you love them. They want to know that you care about them. And you know what? If you are loved, if you love, you have people to love, you have a home, you have food on your table, you are rich. You are so, so rich. And that's what we have to remember, that sometimes we're so busy chasing diamonds and we don't realize that we've had the diamonds sitting next to us all this time, but we've been ignoring the diamonds in pursuit of some other diamonds. And hopefully we recognize that before it's too late. Yes, Stephanie.
Yes, I want to say, let's all think about how we are now in this situation. How many of you have been putting on all of your diamonds or your rings and your earrings? How many of you have been wearing all the new clothes? Think about the woman that just spent $2,500 on a new designer purse and has nowhere to wear it and no one to show it to. You suddenly realize that this is all you need.
Those things are not important.
This is all you need.
Very true, Stephanie. Joan.
Yeah.
Joan, you had something to say?
Yeah, actually, it's pertaining to what Stephanie just said. As you're giving that example and what the whole discussion, I mean, we should be taught. It's so relevant to what we're all experiencing today that, you know, we're all, I know I have constantly self-reflected on, you know, I'm so happy with my home and that my family is well, and I'm not thinking of another vacation. I mean, I would like to get back to Florida, but I don't know when. But, you know, it really has made a lot of us appreciate what we had before this started and the simplicity, you know, simplicity perhaps of how our life was. And maybe we didn't appreciate it as much as we should have, to be able to go to a store, to be able to see friends, to
Simple
be able
pleasures.
to hug our children and grandchildren. My God, I mean, I really appreciated it, but now I just treasure it, and I can't wait, and I hope to God that we can return back to that time.
Yep, and you're going to hug them with so much more excitement and enthusiasm next time, right? Things that we took for granted. Whoever even thought twice about a handshake or, you know, or the door handle that we're turning. Things that we never really thought about become so significant. It becomes so big to us now. So yeah, definitely very good point.
And I want to add to it. Whoever thought I feel rich sitting here and being able to be on Zoom with all of you, and Chana knows I was so devastated when this first started. I mean, I've been quarantined for about 7 weeks now, yet technology and being able to say to people, this is what I need, whether it's my friends or my family. I need you to call me I have a son that's working on the front lines right now. I said, I need you to call me every day on your way home from work. You know, and that makes me rich because I have everything that I need because of the technology, and we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just finalize on that one point, and I want to wrap up here, is that just the Alter Rebbe points out a big difference between being satisfied physically and spiritually. Is that they're complete opposite. That to be satisfied physically is a wonderful thing, right? We want to be satisfied physically, and that's a wonderful virtue that you're satisfied with what you have. But to be satisfied with what you have spiritually is not a good virtue. That's not good. That spiritually we should constantly be striving higher, constantly wanting more. When it comes to physical things, we should say, it's enough, I have enough. But when it comes to spirituality, we should constantly be ever reaching more and more and more. And just to finalize on our final part, who is honored? The person who honors their fellow creatures, is that the most important element to this statement is in that precise word, creatures. It doesn't say who is honored, those who respect their fellow humans or the fellow men or their fellow creatures. Why their fellow creatures? Because creatures puts the emphasis on the fact that they are a creation created by a creator. Let's look at that. Such interesting wording that it says here. Who is honored? The person who honors their fellow creatures, as is stated. For to those who honor me, I accord honor. Those who scorn me will be demeaned. What a strange wording for God to say. What does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with you? Those who honor me, I accord honor. Those who scorn me. We're not talking about God. We're talking about our fellow. Because it is about God. by us giving honor to another human being, it is giving honor to God. We are recognizing that they are a creation of God. Were created in his image. And for that reason, it is enough of a reason to give them respect. We just need to dig down enough and have enough wisdom and understanding to be able to recognize that in every single person and to discover that divine spark in every single human being and bring that out in them and give them honor. So I feel like this really tore open the shells of this Mishna, and I hope it was eye-opening, inspiring to all of you. And
thank you.
I hope to see you again next week. Feel free to message with any thoughts and comments. I always love hearing back from you. I see that there's... Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kramer. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Chana.
Thank you to all of you. Always a joy getting to spend some time with all of you and seeing you face to face.
Wait, I want to show you.
Oh, look at that mask. It looks like a peppermint mask.
You know, she volunteered and she ended up to she's a Jew girl that they're doing those masks and giving them to hospital and different places.
Nice.
Very
Can you
nice.
hold it up again? I didn't see it. Oh, that's wonderful.
That's how she gave them to me.
Wow.
Nice.
Very nice. Nice work.
Yeah, I just got them
job,
today
Tiki.
afternoon.
Good job, Tiki.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you so
Chana.
much for joining me here tonight.
Thank you. Post the link.